I'm a trained government remote viewer. I was in a secret program for mind expansion, developing human potential, finding out how humans can create magic. I ended up being a psychic spy, which was not my choosing. Was never compensated. And at one point, when things get a little bit less scary, I will ask, not demand, that the government pay me wartime pay for all of those years in which they used my skills. But I chose this. I chose this. I chose to be born into a very difficult situation in order to be able to discover things which had not yet been discovered on the planet and then turn around and teach you. And today we apply that to prosperity. So we're going to right now, being it that we did not announce this event and we appear to have no live participants right now, we're going to anyway do the protection mantra, which is the way everything should start. And I'm going to put it on screen. The protection mantra is repeated in silence. So go ahead and start. We're going to just do it for a couple of minutes. And anytime you have a meeting, you should do this before the meeting. You don't have to do it together with the participants unless they're really, really evolved. But you should do it, because what you're basically doing is laying claim to that space of time and asking whatever spirits could be around you or whatever spirit guides you have that want to help lubricate your process and what you're doing, you're calling them in. And for many, many years, I was told by spirit guides that I did not ask for help often enough. So go ahead and continue to repeat the mantra. Please, God, help us with our intention to be protected. And it's us because this is a group process. So you repeat it silently in your head. You blow the air out through your mouth. And if you want to get really fancy schmancy and do mental yoga, breathe this mantra into your root chakra, which is in between your legs. Now, this morning I woke up and I looked down to the root chakra and it was like liquid black, which is a lot of depression. Liquid means very active right now. Makes sense. Now I see a lot of red, the black and then red. So something has either given me the energy of activity, which is red, or the yin, or I'm angry about something. Well, that makes sense too. Keep going. Keep on with the mantra. When I tell you these stories about what I see in myself and other people, what I'm doing is I'm kind of giving you a little map, and you may for a minute go, oh my God, I saw that too. And then I will have accomplished a mission, which is to prove to you that you're just the same as me. If I'm able to do all of this, you can do it. Okay, another minute. Please, God, help us with our intention to be protected. And this is a chat on how to stay prosperous in the midst of chaos. And increasingly, I'm moving towards that theme. I'm fixing up my desk as I'm speaking to you. Darn, I should have fixed it before. I'm creating order. Increasingly, I'm spending more time on this whole issue of maintaining your prosperity, becoming prosperous in the midst of a chaos that everybody's anticipating, including the Bible, including the Mayans. And you can, because I don't know if it was about 5 years ago that the planet changed and we used to have a collective reality. We had one reality and we all played our part inside of it. About 5 years ago, that ended. It could have been 7 years ago. I'm not sure. I'm a psychic, which means that time is very iffy for people like me. The point of the matter is that you can now be totally prosperous. You can be on top of the world and everybody else can be collapsing. Your entire industry can collapse and you can be fine because you create today separately from everybody else. So when we talk about an economic collapse, 5 years ago, before that, darn, today, all you have to do is keep your intention and your focus. Don't lose your focus. It doesn't matter what happens. I mean, there are people that honestly should be already finished and they're not. Donald Trump is one of them. Doesn't really matter how you feel about his politics. With the amount of things that are thrown at him, he should have given up or said, I don't need this. But he didn't. He keeps going, creating something that would appear almost impossible. Most people that achieve something really, really big, most people would have given up a lot before they did. But anyway, let's get into specifics, not just concepts. I did a couple of video clips today on my little cell phone, which doesn't have 5G. So what I think is iPhone 7 or 11, or I don't know, the last one that they made that doesn't connect to 5G. Okay, so then I'm going to tell you that story. Those of you who have followed me for a long time, you may know this story, you may not. I work with people and I work sometimes with their staffs to keep them primed for sales. Generally, I just work with the executives and with families that own companies. I don't actually lately work with any big companies because they have these departments that have to approve things and they don't understand. A remote viewing psychic spy that now does business. They don't get it. Nobody can explain it to them. So I was working with a particular company, a small company, several salespeople. And so I said, okay, let's find out what each one of them needs to know or change in order to make more sales. And of course, they earn a percentage. So it was to their advantage. So I didn't have anybody blocking me. And I wasn't looking for bad stuff that the employees had done. So I would take care of each one individually. Let's say there were 6 people. I don't remember if there were 5 or 6. 5 out of the 6 would have had higher sales if they didn't sleep with their cell phones. Well, that was music to my ears because I know what cell phones do to people. It's not the cell phone, it's the microwave it radiates. I mean, you could throw a cell phone at somebody, it's not going to do anything. But what's radiating off of it is another story. 5 out of 6 employees, when I asked what can they do to make more sales, the answer was not sleep with their cell phones. They were just as astounded as I was. But then it turned out, because that's what the information I got, that I think almost all of the ones that sleep with their cell phones had a problem with dry mouth. Well, what's that all about? Dry mouth is something that old people get. And it has to do with age and medications and modern medicine. That's their explanation, which I don't pay a lot of attention to. Because if you don't believe in spirits, you have no reason to be taking care of my health, because there is not a single health issue that does not have at least one big spirit attached. So anyway, dry mouth. They were all women. No, there was one man. They were from their 30s, maybe 50. And when I said, do you wake up in the morning and you're thirsty? You have a dry mouth at night in the morning? Oh yeah, how did you know that? Because they slept with their cell phones, and microwave boils water. Your cells are 70 to 90% water. So not only were they selling less because they slept with their cell phones, but they already had a health condition that basically only old people have. Old medicated people have. So tip number 1, you want to be prosperous in the midst of chaos? You need to take care of your addiction to that little phone, and absolutely video games also, especially if you have dry mouth at night. And you can say, no, but no. You are responsible for your life. It's your bank account. We may be going into tough times. Don't play games with information. You have an addiction to your cell phone, to video games. Okay. Start working on it. Now, continuing on to little odds and ends that may help you in terms of your business and in terms of staying stable, even if everything is falling around you. In Feng Shui, the study of the relationship between your spaces, your environment, and your destiny, your front door in your home, outside and inside, channels the energy of career. It also channels chi, which is vitality. So your chi comes in through that front door, and the energy of inside and outside that front door has to do with career, which for all of us probably has to do with the way we earn our income. So you know how many times I've had to move in the last several years, and I tell people that I move because I don't want the police to catch up with me. Obviously, obviously they know exactly where I'm at. I move because of my issues with a political group that are mafiosos. God, they have a lot of money. Renting houses next to me, renting apartments. My God. Anyway, so I'm in this place, which is temporary. I'm happy. It's temporary. It's smaller than usual. And the front door inside and out, not so great. Just regular apartment. So today I did a little video and I tried to put it up, but when I talk, it's in Spanish and I don't want to irritate people. But I went to my front door, and next to it, which when you walk in to the right is helpful friends, which we all need if we're going to be prosperous. You need to be able to work in teams, which I can't do yet until they stop doing black magic on people who work with me. Well, that'll start soon enough. And I got 2 beautiful flowering lilies. They're like this tall, and they look spectacular. And I got cheap curtains for the window that's behind them. So you look at it and you go, wow, that looks really rich and it looks really good. And it does. My career. And then next to it, which is still career section and feng shui, and I hope I'm pronouncing feng shui correctly, I put a mirror and I put lights. Oh, wow, it looks super rich. Well, that's what I want. That's what I'm looking for. I'm not into riches and money. I need to be properly compensated for what I bring to the table, but that's not my goal, and most of you who know me know that. But it looks really good. And I suspect that within a week, things are going to really change. Outside my front door, I have a problem. There used to be a doorbell there. Whatever modern people do today, or people are here with me, they have a doorbell where it's got a little camera, and whoever was here previously took it. So there's like a little spot there that's not painted, and I need to take care of that because I don't have a doorbell. And you're not allowed to put plants in front of near your door in this apartment building. I'm on the ground floor. But I was able to find a place where I can put it outside my front door, but you can't really see it from the street. And I asked the neighbors who can see it if that was okay with them, and they said fine. So now when you come up, I'm the only one with this not expensive Buddha planter and this beautiful, it's actually a bamboo, not bamboo. It's a whatever plant in it. And that plant has to do with flexibility because I am an inflexible person. So becoming flexible, having to do with this interesting stage I'm going into, is very important. That's why I chose that plant. So now you walk up to my front door and there's a zillion different things because it's not a new building. But it looks good. You go, oh my God, that looks nice. And then you walk in and all of a sudden you've got these flowering lilies, which were not expensive. And I changed the energy of my career section. So what are you doing about your career section, which is right outside your front door and right inside your front door? What's there? Years ago, before I knew what I know today, I had a wall. Actually, I had a wall on the right, which is when you walk in, that's helpful friends and travel. And I had all the photographs, not just of my family, but the old people in my family, but my ex-husband's family. Now, why on earth would I have done that? Well, those pictures already had matching frames. Why on earth would I not do it? They had matching frames. They look really good. Well, in the helpful friends section, not really the best thing to put there, even though our divorce was very amicable, because it should have been over way earlier. So by the time we reached that point, there wasn't a lot of excess emotion. It was just like an acceptance, which is good. I know it's unusual, but it's good. So what I had there was just not appropriate. So what do you have on the inside and the outside of your front door? And now I'm going to tell you the really interesting story. When you go to your property, like I'm in an apartment building, so I don't own the land. There's a property. So when you, in my case, you walk in the front door and I have a patio in the back. All the way in the back on the patio, that is your fame and shame area in feng shui. Yesterday, my housekeeper said, "That is looking so beautiful. You should take a picture out there." Yesterday afternoon, she's very intuitive. She's from Central America, very intuitive. And I said, "Yes, it's looking really good." Anytime we have an orchid that starts to limp, we tie it to the back wall and they're flowering. And I bought some cheap outdoor furniture and then I got a red plant for the center of it. Also a bromeliad, which protects. Remember that bromeliads protect. And then somebody's going to say, "Yeah, but in feng shui, they said you can't have that because they pinch." You know what? I want to pinch all those people that are bothering me. Put it out there. And I did. And so you can see it almost from the front door all the way in the back. You see this red. It looks really good. So why am I telling you this story? To tell you that I'm a great decorator? No. To tell you should spend $1 gazillion? No. The orchids that are there are getting reused. The furniture was cheap furniture from Home Depot. I'm telling you this because my housekeeper noticed something interesting and said, "Oh, you should." And last night and today, an enemy of mine who's from Grove Isle and is in a wheelchair, together with the other guy, Renee, did black magic on that part of my life, which in the physical is the back of the property. And in terms of my house, it would be the back part of my apartment, which I need to think about that to see what it is that deteriorates. So I wake up in the middle of the night and I could see the back. I didn't know that they had done anything. No, I woke up in the morning and in the other dimensions, the back of my property was completely destroyed. And I went, "Wow, somebody did something." And I got up in the morning and everything physically looks fine because the black magic that they did is in the other dimensions. But in the other dimensions, it was chaotic. It was not what my housekeeper saw the day before. So whether these grown men who are political and are considered a mafia, whether they knew that it was going to affect my backyard or not, or my home, what they were looking for was to affect my reputation so that people would not listen to me. Because after all, if you don't respect me, why should you believe what I have to say about these group of people, even though it's documented all over the place? They wanted to put a lid on who I am as a person in order to kind of protect themselves. That plus 1,000 other things. So what's the point of the story? That I'm such an important person? No, it's not the point of the story. My point of the story is that you have a back wall, and the center of it has to do with reputation and fame and shame. And you have a back wall center in your property too, even if you don't own the property. So that if you have issues of reputation or you want to become well known for your art, then you need to pay attention to that part of your house and your property. It's only a 3,000-year-old science put together by people that are a lot more observant than we are. Feng Shui was put together by people that understand the elements, which none of us understand, and they understand the spirit world because they say that you must first take care of the memories that are in the location, the place, whether it's your house or a business, and spirits. And then you could start with the whole thing about furniture and color and placement. And you don't have to spend a lot of money to fix things. Sometimes just one orchid can make all the difference in the world. By the way, orchids are evangelists, which means an evangelism is the bringers of good news. And do you remember that 50 years ago, nobody gave anybody an orchid as a gift? In the first place, they were very expensive, but nobody gave an orchid. Starting about 20 years ago, if my husband and I give a party, half the people would show up with a bottle of wine and the other half would show up with an orchid. And that was never the case before. So people instinctively are looking for that energy of good spiritual news. Orchids are bringers of good spiritual news. So my backyard is full of orchids that I bought for inside, gorgeous, lost their flowers, and we put them in the back. What are you doing in terms of the living spaces and in terms of your business space to stack the deck in your favor? What are you doing? On our website, you'll be able to find the map, the bagua, but you can actually find it any place. But I think I have a copy of it here. And I will put it up now for you to see. Let's see if I do have it here. No, I don't. Okay, I do not have it here. But you can find it, Bagua, B-A-G-U-A. And it's going to get very funny very soon because I discovered that a 3,000-year-old map called the Bagua, which is the basis for feng shui, they forgot something. They forgot your car. And you're going to say, but they didn't have cars 3,000 years ago. Yes, I know that. So they didn't really forget it. It didn't exist 3,000 years ago, but it exists today. And it is part of the Bagua. So within, I hope, 30 days, we will be presenting to you the Bagua for your vehicle for transportation, which for most of us will be a car. For some people, it will not be. But one of the reasons I just said this now is because things are changing by the minute. You cannot run around assuming that what you learned in school, even if you went to business school, or even if you ran a very successful business, you can't assume that everything is the same as before, because it's not. Just the fact that when you hire young people as employees, in business schools, they're giving special courses on how to handle the young employees, which are not so young, in the 20s, whatever, because their value system is different. They function different. I used to have a business. You all know that. It's now being run by somebody else in the family. Thank God, very successfully. She took it before I was able to take it bankrupt. I was so desperate to get out of there. But I had 30-some employees. But it was very much a hierarchy. I was the great boss. And I was such a nice boss. And they were such nice people. Obedient, did their jobs, showed up every day. Not today. Very different energy. So you have to keep up with the times in terms of business. If you want it to be like it was before, you know what? Not going to happen. It's not going to happen. They're wired differently. Their values are different. And even if they love what they're doing, because I was going to say, I think it has to do with the fact that they don't want to do something that doesn't feel right and is not good for the world. But that's not really true, because even if you give them that, they can't keep their focus and their attention. So somehow we have to learn to do business and to continue to do business with an issue of attention and focus, which happens to everyone. Not just for the employees, but also for the bosses. And I could say that definitely is the case with me. We are already over our time, and let me look at my note. So even if you're doing business from your car is going to have an influence on your prosperity. And the Bagua map, which you can find in the internet in 2 seconds flat, and don't bother with when they tell you that you need to have a compass. They are accurate in what they're saying. Okay, so here it goes. When you do the feng shui and you work with one of the really intense experts. They work with a compass. They want to know when you were born, the time, and then they move the map around to adjust to that. That's really great. And I am sure that they're really, really accurate. The problem with that is that they are basing the map on the birth of your astral body, which is your spirit. And I will put the map up of your bodies. And that is really not a problem, that they are being so precise with their measuring instruments and your astrological date. But it's the third body from the left, and the birth of that body, which is basically the birth onto the physical dimension of the physical body, and then of course your spirit drops into it. The trick here is that if you have a lot of trauma, you have more than one astral body. Okay? Which means that you would have to use the compass and the birth date of your other astral bodies. Okay, so who has more than one astral body, which basically makes you what the Mayans call, you have subpersonalities, and what they used to call multiple personalities. Everybody who's an alcoholic has more than one spirit body. That's why when you see their faces change, that's a spirit inside it, and that's a separate astral body. So when you do the bagua and you have to do the whole map thing, it is very accurate for one part of you. It's not very accurate in general. If you simply find the bagua, lay it on top of your home, okay, you will see the places that are important. If you're limping in terms of children, then you should be addressing the issues there. You should actually be addressing the issues in all parts of your home, because all of the sections relate to some aspect that's very important in your life. So I'm going to finish by saying that the part of your body, crown chakra, the back wall of the property where your house or your apartment building is on, center back, and the center back of your home, doesn't matter east, west, none of that matters, has to do with crown chakra and reputation. And then if you have issues of reputation in terms of shame. That part is important because one of the things that will keep you prosperous in the midst of chaos, if there's an economic collapse or anything happens crazy in business, money, etc., you need to keep the faith going, the connection going. And it's that connection to your God, to the gods, to some kind of God that keeps the faith. That energy is channeled into you. It's channeled by you. In the Bible, it says God pours into you, but you are the one that is receiving it. It's your decision. You can shut it down. You need to keep that totally open, totally operational. So you have to work on the center back wall of your home, the center back third of the property of your home, and you need to take care of the top of your head, your crown chakra, which is supposed to move in the direction clockwise, in the direction of the hands of a clock, which is the way we say it in Spanish, which is rather awkward in English. So that is our session for today. On Thursday, we'll be back here again, and we will be doing training. This is me talking to you. I can do that forever because I'm half Cuban. On Thursday, we're going to be doing more training and more mantras, etc. And next week, we're going to start with our training sessions, which will be $10, and you can just come and sit and do the mantras, the mudras, and other things in a group setting, which means it's a multiplier effect, and with the proper music, sound, and visuals, in order to continue to collect your multitasking focus and turn it into just one vector towards being prosperous, even if there's chaos, even if there's a collapse. You have to remember those last words. Even if it's chaotic, even if everything collapses, you have to keep that vector focused. And then something happens over here and you go, oh my God, I wonder, oh my. And then you come back here with the mantras and the mudras and the visualizations that we will be recommending. If enough of us do this, we can create an anchoring and a stability of the entire system. For that, I need to be able to reach more people. For that, people and companies and governments and political groups need to stop blocking me, because you see, those people need this help too. And I'm not talking about anything political. So that was my complaint. That was my petition to the universe and to whoever it is that is allowing these people to do this. Prosperity in the midst of chaos. You can have it. You have to keep your focus. You have a hard time focusing, you're going to have a hard time staying prosperous, because it's going to get really chaotic. Disclosure has just started. I think I'm going to say one more thing, because I'm not sure when I'm going to get you guys again. The girl that was on the plane and that was yelling, who has now supposedly given an explanation. She didn't explain anything. It doesn't really look like her. It may be. It is my opinion, and I'm not going to remote view it because that's not allowed. I can't remote view something like that, because even though you guys don't know me, other people do, and they know that people pay attention, and so this kind of stuff, I don't remote view. But I suspect that that woman saw somebody that had shape shifted. What does that mean? Your spirit, what I put up earlier, that gold body, has the ability to turn into any shape that you want it to be. You can look like the Virgin Mary. You can look like a dog. Magicians turn themselves into cats and they go visit their enemies to find out what the enemy is concocting. People today are shape-shifting and not realizing it. I said this story before, I'm not sure in English. I went someplace, I was with a group of people. One of the people was struggling with a customer, and she was trying to be patient and trying to be nice. It was obvious that she was ready to cut the woman's head off, but she didn't. Then when we went out, the group, I was kind of behind. Half of her body turned into a reptile. Left half of her body turned into a reptile. Okay, what am I going to do with this? Nothing, because I told one person in the group later on, they didn't believe me, so my credibility is lower. That's why that woman, whether it's her or not, is not going to admit publicly what she saw, because her credibility will go down the tubes. But this is going to be happening increasingly. The Mayans said that at this point, at the end of end times, our sub-personalities would come up. That did not look like something that had attached to her. And reptilians, by the way, are Nagas. Nagas are the original owners of planet Earth. They, at some point, they look like dinosaurs. In Feng Shui, they're the dragons that protect your property. Everybody thinks they're bad. They shake things up, just like the dragons in Mexico, the flying dragons and the one that shoot fire from their mouth. They shake things up, but they are supporting human evolution. So this woman, only one half of her body. Why? I don't know. If I'm going to make up a story, I'm going to tell her she turned into a reptile. She didn't. One half of her body turned into a reptile. And let me give you a story closer to home. So everybody just relax. I woke up 2 days ago. This quadrant of me was an animal. A hairy animal, like maybe a bear, but all I can see is the brown hair. And yesterday in the chat, I told the group and they said, yeah, we can see that. And you've also had a spirit here. I always have entities hanging around, a lot of them good and a lot of them negative entities. And the political group know how to use their astral body and play havoc on people. So they're always hanging around during our chats. But that's not the point. Let me get back to it. This piece of me, all of a sudden, looked like an animal, like a bear. What's that all about? Well, I'm working on it. But I remembered what the Mayans said. Subpersonalities. Is this a part of me that I incorporated those characteristics? Is this a spirit that's attached? And if it is, how come just this part and not the bottom half? But in that woman, that I saw, not the woman on the plane, it's just half of her body. I have no reason to make this up. This sets me back in terms of legitimate people believing me, but I have a dedication to the truth and to sharing it. And a lot of times in advance to where people are like, oh God, Francis, please don't say that. Come on. You're going to lose people. Oh, you're going to lose followers. They don't say lose followers. You're going to lose people. You can't say that. Yeah, but it's real. Yeah, I know, Francis, but it doesn't really matter. We really don't have any time for games anyway. And one of the nice things about me, I have to say, because I can be difficult, is that you can kind of count on what I tell you. If you ask me a question, I'm going to tell you the truth. And that's really important. We need to have people who are not afraid to admit the truth. That woman who was on that plane does not want to admit the truth. She's scared of what people are going to do to her. And I know what they're going to do to her. Her reputation out the window. She said so much that basically she said it. And now she can't put whatever back in the closet. So she disappeared. We are here to share what it is that we know, even if it's weird, even if it's unusual. You don't have to do anything we say. You just need to listen. You add it all up. One of the things I liked many years ago when I admitted that I had been trained as a psychic, so a lot of women would say to me, they said it as a compliment, you know, my husband says you're the only person like what you do, like a psychic. You're the only one he listens to and he trusts. That's probably because I was raised and was trained by military and scientists. So maybe I present in a way that's more male. I have no idea. The important thing is I would want for you to trust me, but you need to have your instincts honed and your intuition, you need to allow it. And you will know whether you can trust me. I'm not talking about trusting me full-time and me marrying into your family or you giving me a contract. I'm not talking about that. Just with what you're hearing. How does it feel? So the information is really weird, but how does it feel? Well, it doesn't look like she's lying, but okay, it's good enough. So we will see you again, okay? And thank you for joining me. I appreciate it. I really do, because this is the reason why I was born. So let's get more people on board. And we will have this video up on our YouTube, Francis Fox English channel until YouTube finally kicks us out. They're in that process.